Good evening, everyone. How are you? Sorry, that took me a little bit by surprise there. Cheers, everyone. First one of the week. And, oh, dear me, that's good. It's better when you've been waiting for it, isn't it? How are you all doing? Let's have a look in the chat, see who's here. Michael Palmer, first in the chat this evening. Greetings, John and Co. I can put this on screen, can't I? Greetings, John and Co. I finally made it, although fish and chips follow shortly. Have a good evening. Well, thank you very much, Michael. Michael is the chap who very generously loaned me that vintage V100 that was in the video yesterday. Who else we got in? David Evans, Johnny Random, Sean House, Das Schaff. Evening chap says, Das fell out with the missus, so I'm not getting a proper tea tonight. Just have to drink the blues away. Newcastle Brown for the win. Yes, indeed. I haven't had Newcastle Brown in years. I like it, but it tends not to like me very much the next day. Let's leave it at that. Lee's in, Lee Mirano, Vincent Brennan, Ian Lewis, David Evans, Jason Carter, S. Wainscott, Peter Collins, Ian Lewis, thank you very much. Let me put you up on screen for that. Thank you very much, Ian. That is massively generous of you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Cy Rollinson, says, I've been so ill on Yuki Brown as a teen, can't even take the smell anymore. It's not quite that bad with me. That particular honour in my case goes to Carlsberg Special Brew, the one that you can't even stand the smell of anymore. Colin Falcon's in, how are you, Colin? Chris Otterwell, Mick Brooks, John Channing, Johnny Love, Graham Campbell, Johnny Random, how are you, mate? So basically all present and correct, all the usual crew. How are we all doing? I do notice we're a bit thin on the ground tonight. Not as many in as usual. Maybe there's something decent on the telly. More worth watching than this ugly mug. Where are we? Yes, Malcolm Spillerton. Yes, we're going to be having a bit of a chat, me and Malcolm, on Zoom, and talking about some of his rather interesting guitars. That's going to be it's going to be one that's coming up. We're just waiting for Malcolm to get himself all sorted out with the necessary tech. Tennant's up here in Glasgow. Yes. That used to be Tennant's. Was it Tennant's Extra or Tennant's Super? That was the rocket fuel they used to sell in the Students' Union bar when I was a young wee lad at college, and very cost effective it was. It got the job done. Do you know what I mean? Your grant check went a long way with Tennant's Extra or whatever it was. We were all kind of getting out of our heads on back then. Kieran's in. Kieran Roberts, how are you, mate? Grandpa Joe, howdy folks, and have a great weekend, John and all. Well, thank you very much, mate. Anyway, that's the formalities over with. Let's talk about what's going to be on the channel this week. I keep wanting to say tomorrow for the next video, but it's not tomorrow anymore, is it? I do them on a Sunday now. Sunday, there's a nice little bit of a country blues rock solo featuring this chap. The Harley Benton SC 552. You'll remember on Wednesday I did the video on the Mixolydian mode, and I said on Sunday I'd be doing a solo in the Mixolydian mode. Well, I have done, and that's the guitar that it's being played on. Then on Monday, here's a brain teaser for you. On Monday, the video on Monday is going to be a solo analysis, as is usually the case for the Monday videos. And it is an absolute belter, an absolute corker of a solo from the early to mid 90s, probably about 93-ish, round about then, from a band that were essentially a one-hit wonder. They had one big hit and then a couple of sort of follow-up singles that sort of never quite bounced as high up the hit parade, as we used to say, as the first one. And can anybody think what that might be? 1993, kind of a bluesy funk rock big hit single. Yeah, you don't get to say that very often, do you? Bluesy funk rock big hit single. It used to happen from the early 90s, and a corker of a guitar solo. Mull over on that one and we'll come back to it. And then on Tuesday, what am I doing on Tuesday? Oh yeah, brilliant suggestion. Somebody suggested on, these top 5 things that I do on Tuesday, where it's all about, the top 5 performances by this band. And I've done bucket list guitars. And last week it was the Money No Object Billionaires rig. Well, on Tuesday this week, we're going to be looking at my ultimate fantasy no holds barred supergroup. Any musician from any era or genre, put them together and make a supergroup with them. Invent a time machine, go and kind of round up the ones who are no longer with us and put them all into the studio and make a supergroup with them. So that's what's going on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we are looking at the Dorian mode, basically the weekly series of videos that I'm doing, kind of going through one mode per week. Well, on Wednesday, it's the turn of the Dorian. Thursday, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing yet. There might be a guitar review. There might be one of these fantasy guitar shopping videos. Haven't quite nailed that one down yet, but I'll keep you posted. But it'll be something, kind of equipment related, whether it's, either looking at the guitar or, kind of doing the whole, checking guitars out online kind of thing. And then on Friday, as you know, we're back on the beer. Oh, there we go. Peter Collins, you've nailed it in one. Let me just find where that one is. There you go. The solo we're looking at on Monday is Two Princes by the Spin Doctors, played by a chap called Eric Schenkman, I think. Great solo and great song. And then it just, what happened to the Spin Doctors? I did Google them as I was putting the video together, and there's still a version of them around. Oh, here we go. Steve Hoggerton. Where are we? Hi, team. Hope all are well. I'm sat recovering from a CT scan. Still full of air. Well entertaining. Yes. I won't go into too many details, but I've got a similar thing like that coming up sometime soon, where I go into the magnetic tunnel to have all kinds of readings taken. But we're not here to talk about that tonight. So hope you're doing well anyway, Steve. Now, Stevie Barr, you mentioned the Black Crowes there. I have got a Black Crowes solo lined up at some point. I haven't tabbed it out yet or anything like that, but it is going to be there. And there's going to be some George Harrison coming up at some point as well. Excuse me, just waking the lungs up. Das Shaft, Spin Doctors were class. I have heard from one or two sources, though, and if anybody's seen them live, please correct me to the contrary, but I have heard from people who have seen them live that they were absolutely, abysmal is a word that I have heard bandied around. They weren't the tightest or most well-rehearsed or, professional band on stage. Perhaps I've just spoken to a couple of people who had who turned up on a bad night, but if anybody else has seen them live, please correct me, because that album Pocket Full of Kryptonite I thought was a great album, and they did sound all kind of tight and funky, like it almost, do you know what I'm saying here, almost like if the Red Hot Chili Peppers decided to become a blues band. It had that kind of vibe going on. What's that, Steve? Let me put you up on the screen. I can read. The reason I'm putting these up on the screen is because my eyesight, I can read them easy when they're on the screen. Enjoyed the Les Paul comparison. Still like to see your opinion on the latest vintage V100 MRPGM Lemon Drop Greenie Mower Icon. Yeah, they know how to name a guitar, don't they? I didn't know there's a latest one, but I have played that model when it first came out. Because, more than one of them, because my students had them. And, I mean, you know how much of a big Gary Moore fan I am. To hold something that made that sort of Gary Moore out of phase Peter Green kind of sound was a big thrill, which is why I've got that setting on this and here, just on that little push switch. Great guitars, but I just wasn't in love with the Relic job. And then they brought out an unrelicked version, but then that just felt it just felt a bit sterile. I don't know. It was, if they would do one with a satin finish but without the relicking, that would be, I think, something well worth checking out. Where are we? Let's just read the chat. Gary Moore plus Jack Bruce plus various others. Is that the fantasy band there, Nancy? Yeah, well, Gary Moore did play with Jack Bruce. I did consider making it a rule, a self-imposed rule in this video, where you can only pick musicians who haven't played together. But then that sort of conflicted with a couple of my choices. So, you know, I decided to ditch that rule. My game, my rules. Lindsay Buckingham solos at some point. Now, there's a good suggestion. Yes. What a cracking idea. That will be acted upon. Yes, because I'm always, I get to like, you know, I have like, probably usually about half a dozen solos stacked up, you know, that I've kind of filmed me playing the solo, I've tabbed it out, and I've filmed the explanation part of the video, and then I just, you know, kind of when I want to do the full video, I just kind of sit in front of the webcam and do the "Hello chaps, welcome to John Robson Guitar Tuition," that bit of the video, and then stitch it all together. And when I get down to like maybe the last couple of solos that I've got sort of lined up in me stash, I'm always kind of starting panicking. Who can I do next? Oh, him. Oh no, I did him recently. You know, and so yeah, Lindsay Buckingham. Never done any Lindsay Buckingham. So yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. John, what's that? John had to sit. Hi, John. Had to sit through an advert for hair loss treatment before they would let me in. I assume you had nothing to do with it. What do you think, mate? You know, the weird thing is with my hair loss, I mean, I went for the sort of cue ball look because I was starting to go bald, but in weird ways. I had like crop circles on my head. You know, it wasn't kind of normal male pattern baldness. It was just kind of, you know, a bald bit here and a bald bit here and a bald bit, you know, wherever. And so I thought, screw it, you know, kind of out with the razor, and off it all came. And then weirdly, it's now started growing back without the bald patches if I don't shave for a few days. But I kind of like the way it is now. This is me. Do you know what I mean? It's a look that I've been kind of destined to have all my life, I think. Gary Moore, John Lord, Jack Bruce, and John Heisman. Now there's a name you don't hear very often, John Heisman. How about something by the Pretty Things, Pete Tolson? Not that familiar, to be honest, but worth checking out. I shall, as I say, on a Sunday when I don't have too many lessons on a Sunday afternoon, this is when I kind of get deep into the YouTubery and Spotifying and what have you, and following up on suggestions that tend usually to crop up on the chat here. What about some Robin Trower, Jack and Jill? Okay, yeah. Not a bad idea. Yeah, let's do that. Again, Robin Trower, again, a name that, why haven't I thought of that one before myself? You know, that's the value of talking to you chaps. How about a Steely Dan solo? I just did one the other week, mate. I did Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Which, that song, Ricky Don't Lose That Number, I was reliably informed years and years and years ago that song was about Rick Derringer, and that's who I thought it was about all these years, but turns out that was that's not the case. Where are we? Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and pour a beer. Come on, somebody's going to say it, although not. I mean, that's quite the opposite of the flake pour, isn't it? I do apologise. That's more fried egg, isn't it? What's that, Dave Pegg? Let me put you up on screen. Was wondering why most lead guitarists play on the B string a lot as opposed to the others. Any reason? I can't say it's a phenomenon I've noticed, to be honest with you, Dave. I do know that personally myself, if I want to put vibrato on a note, I will tend usually to avoid playing that note on the top E string. And that's just a curious little thing of a strat that I had for many, many years. The edges of the fretboard were so kind of rounded off and kind of comfortable to hold, but it was so bad that you had the slightest little bit of vibrato to a note on the high E string, and you just end up dragging it off the side of the neck. So that got me into the habit of thinking, if I'm going to play vibrato on, let's say, this note here, fifth there, I'll probably play it there instead, because I've got more room to do the wiggle. Paul Rodgers on vocals, yes. See, I could get into this discussion, couldn't I, and start telling you who would be in mine, but that would kind of make it sort of ruin the point of doing the video on Tuesday, which is already done, by the way. So I'm not going to give anything away, but there are a couple of names on that list who are obvious choices. The drummer and one of the guitarists, because you're allowed 5 members, okay? You're allowed a drummer, a bass player, 2 guitarists, and a singer. So the drummer is a fairly obvious choice, and one of the guitarists is a very obvious choice if you know anything about me, who I'm likely to choose. But the bass player, I would be surprised if anybody will guess the bass player in advance. Because he is massively underrated, and not many people have heard of him. He should be as much of a big name as Jaco Pastorius or maybe Mark King or something like that, but sadly he isn't. But he's going to be the bass player in my fantasy rock and roll supergroup. And the singer, yeah, it's not one of the big name obvious choices. I'll leave it at that. Let's put you up on screen, Dougie. Where have you gone? Alternative tunings, John. What's your favourite, if any? Luca Bloom plays some nice stuff. Christy Moore's brother. The only alternative tuning I tend to use, Dougie, is Open G, because I'm just a sucker for that Keith Richards thing. You go to Open G and suddenly, you can, all of these kind of classic Stones riffs start tumbling out of your fingers, like Brown Sugar and Start Me Up and Honky Tonk Women and, all the rest of it. All of that kind of stuff just seems to just fall out. Or if it's not that, it's Whatever You Want by The Quo. That seems to, was it Whatever You Want? Or, no, Down, Down, sorry. No, not Guy Pratt, Jason, not Guy Pratt. Great bass player, but... no, not Lemmy, Irish Stew. I tell you what I'll do. I'll give you some of the people who didn't pass the audition. Okay, on drums, I'm afraid John Bonham didn't make the cut. Neither did Ian Pace. On bass, I was going to go with Jaco Pastorius. I was going to go with Mark King. I was going to go with Lemmy, but none of those guys made the cut. On guitar, well, Clapton, I'm afraid, was loading his gear back into the car from the audition and going home disappointed, as was Mark Knopfler. And in terms of the vocalist, well, Paul Rodgers was a strong contender, but he didn't quite, he didn't come up with the goods on the night. So those are a few of the ones that didn't make it into the fantasy group. But, there are 5 good ones who did. Bottleneck Bob, how are you, mate? Just noticed you're in. How long have you been here? You snuck in, mate. You like Open Sea on your telly. It's really swampy. I was talking about that. I see Rex Shull. I haven't watched the video, but I saw just in me kind of feed on YouTube that he's permanently going down to D standard for reasons that I will probably find out if I watch the video. Freddie on vocals now. Yeah, I almost went with Freddie Vincent, but it was just too obvious. Do you know what? Well, I can't because the video's been made, but the thing with Freddie is you're not just getting a front man and a vocalist, you're getting an absolutely killer songwriter, aren't you? So I think I might have missed a trick there. But the video is done. Maybe I should start thinking about who's going to be in the support band. That'd be a cool idea, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, you're late, are you, Bob? Well, bring a note from your mum next time, mate. John, what would you call this band? Robson, Flake and Palmo. There's worse names, isn't there? Let me see if I can make any kind of acronym out of the letters of the initials of the people in it. If I just say the initials of the members are P, H, M, L, B. No, you see, you're lacking any vowels there, aren't you, really? You can't really do anything with that. Zappa on guitar and vocals. Strong choice, mate. Okay, Kieran, you watch that Red Show video and wouldn't say you'd go permanently to D standard. I watched a similar video, actually. I always forget this bloke's name. Tom Quayle, that's him. I watched a video that he did explaining why, the advantages of tuning exclusively in fourths. Basically you go, instead of E, A, D, G, B, E, you go E, A, D, G, C, F. And I got to say, he didn't really sell the idea to me, because I guess it's one of those tunings that you have to get, inculcated into very, very early on. But it's like, here's the thing with me. Apart from doing the odd stones thing in open G, I just like standard tuning because, as I've said many times, I think last time when I did the video on playing slide in standard tuning, the thing about standard tuning is you can pick the guitar up and all of the notes are where you left them, and you don't have to start relearning things. And it just seems like, for what I do and for the amount of stuff I have to kind of churn out, I don't have time to kind of go for that learning curve of having to essentially relearn the instrument. Billy Sheehan on bass? No, it's not Billy Sheehan on bass, mate. Punk band, doesn't it? There probably was a band with that name somewhere in 1976 doing the rounds, They all probably wore bin liners and safety pins. What's that, Kieran? Let me put you up on screen, mate. I can read you easier when you're on screen. Exactly what I mean, mate. He sounded good if you like indie pop, whatever that genre tuning was good, if you get me. Yeah, I think I know what you mean, mate. Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's just that one of those things, like I go to click on a comment and another one pops up and I click on the wrong thing. I hate that. When you go onto a website and you go to click on something, and in that nanosecond between your finger hitting the mouse and the mouse responding, the website's kind of changed and like you've clicked on the wrong thing. And that was my excuse anyway. John, I have some sad news. I'm supposed to play a gig this weekend, and they don't shut Louisiana down again. Oh, so I think I got the gist of that, mate. You've had a gig cancelled because of a shutdown. That is, that's, after all this time, you lads who go out and tread the boards, which I used to do, but I don't anymore because I'm too long in the tooth for it now. When you kind of getting that adrenaline and you kind of think, oh, it's tomorrow night, and then it's all kind of, it's pulled out from under your feet. It's not a nice feeling. How about Dusty Hill from ZZ Top? Yeah, strong choice. Again, it's the one thing you can say about that band. They were absolutely, the rhythm section, Frank Beard and Dusty, were absolutely rock solid. Alan from Lizzie on drums, John. Alan from Lizzie, it was Brian Downey on drums for Thin Lizzy, wasn't it? Pino Palladino on bass. Now, yeah, isn't he playing with the Who these days, or like the touring version of the Who? What's that, Johnny Love? I'm going to put you up on screen, mate. Levi Clay did a good vid on the pros and cons of tuning to fourths versus standard. He prefers standard. Nothing to relearn, but also the chords and rhythm parts are easy. It's standard for a reason. Yeah, this is it. This is the thing about standard tuning. No one person sat down and invented it, I would speculate. It's just something that evolved that way over countless centuries. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a few years, gosh, it's got to be about 10 years old now. And I imagine it's probably up on YouTube somewhere, or, it'll certainly be on BBC iPlayer. So you can get that. And if you're out the country, well, just, use a VPN or whatever. But there was a 4-part documentary about the history of the guitar that went from like its earliest beginnings, kind of with lute-like instruments and what have you in, kind of medieval times, all the way through to like, I think one of the guys who was interviewed on this when they got to the electric guitar was like Matt Bellamy from Muse, and so like right up to kind of modern day electric guitarists. And it was just such a fascinating thing to see this the evolution of the instrument. And really, even my missus enjoyed it, and she doesn't play guitar, but she says, this is really interesting, isn't it? I said, yes. Oh, you saw it, did you, Phil? Yeah. Where are we? Idea, let me put you up on screen, Michael. Idea for Theory Wednesday, soloing in combination with a key shift. My favourite must be Kid by the Pretenders. Yeah, that is something that I've sort of covered in various ways in the past when I've talked about the caged system. Kind of how to negotiate a key change mid-solo. So, yeah, I could kind of hone in on that a little bit and look at how you can pivot from one key to another. Yeah, good idea, mate. Marillion Steve Rothery, John. Now, there's a tasteful player. I've done a couple of Marillion solos. I think I did Easter and Incubus. And I keep, and it has to be said, those videos got like a lot of views. So yeah, that's an idea. Maybe I should do another video on the wonderful Mr. Rothery, because he's not a flash player, he's not a shredder, but he's from that. It's fairly obvious to say so, but he's from that sort of Gilmore-esque school of playing where he'll play one note, but it's the perfect note, Is there any girl? No, well, not in this lineup, it has to be said. No, I did toy with the idea of, well, there were a couple of female vocalists who nearly made the cut. Joan Jett was one, Patti Smith was another. And I think I almost went with, and her name escapes me now. But the young Australian female bass player who made a name for herself playing with Jeff Beck, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But she was one of the candidates for the bass job. But I just had to go with the choices that I had. It was like, when you're doing any of these kind of lists and you narrow it down, I think, yeah, but I honestly can't leave this person out. Sister Rosetta on guitar and vocals. There are so many suggestions coming through here of people that I either considered and thought somebody else just edged ahead of them by a short head, or like, why didn't I consider Sister Rosetta? That, Tal Wilkenfeld, that's Pablo Hank. Thank you very much. Yes. If you haven't seen that video of Jeff Beck at Ronnie Scott's from DMA about 2008 with her on bass, what an incredible musician she is. I mean, you spend as much time marveling at how talented she is as you do marveling at how talented Jeff Beck is. That is an utterly fantastic gig. Oh, another female vocalist who nearly made it into the fold was Imelda May. I very nearly considered Imelda May, but I think I'm just going to stick with the choices I've got for now. But as you're probably gathering, there's very likely going to be a part 2 for this video, so we'll see. So, let me put you up on screen, mate. Sir, I am your great fan. Well, thank you very much. I'm not worthy. It's a weird thing. William Campbell the other week sent me that Electro Harmonix C9 pedal. Not a cheap piece of kit by any stretch of the imagination. And he said, I want you to have this in return for the YouTube videos that you make and all the tuition that you do. And I think, well, see, I'm a typical northern male. I don't kind of, I always feel a bit unworthy of that kind of, expression of generosity. But, thank you. To anybody who considers me worthy of being a fan of. They're all amazing musicians at that Ronnie Scott's gig. You've seen it, have you, Dave? Fantastic. Yep. Yeah, I preferred. I've got that. You're saying there, Stevie. Let me put you up on screen, mate. I preferred Imelda May when she was rockabilly, not mainstream. Yeah, I mean that. I think it's the Mayhem album that I got, which was like not a first album, it was like the first big album. Fantastic stuff on there, like the version of Tainted Love that's on that. I will never tire of hearing that. And speaking of Jeff Beck, I mean, I don't know if you saw the gig where I think she played with Jeff Beck at like a Les Paul tribute gig. Where, it was just all of the great and the good coming up and doing a little bit of a kind of tip of the hat to Les. Jeff was there and she was there, and she was like singing the Mary Ford part, and it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, Maggie Bell, Time Prophet. Now you're talking. There's a, you know what I should do? Yeah, I've done an all-male fantasy supergroup kind of all-star kind of thing. I should do an all-female one, shouldn't I? Because I'm seeing so many female names here coming up. So I shall have to get my thinking cap on and see if I can think of, because have there been that many iconic, kind of virtuoso female drummers? I don't know. I mean, I'll have to have a think about that. I'm sure there will be. Dare I ask your opinion of the late Stuart Adamson? I used to love Big Country. We used to play in a Big Country in a band I was in years ago, and yeah, great songwriter, cracking guitarist, and a very sad loss. Well, thank you very much, content. You're saying, let me put you up on screen, and that will explain what my almost slip of the tongue. I almost called you content there because I was going to say, "Hi, John. I really enjoy your content, brother." Well, thank you very much, mate. I just do what I do, and I sit here and blether away into a webcam, and it seems to have struck a nerve with some people. Oh, it took a while. I mean, where are we now? 2021 from 2008 when I put my first YouTube video up to 2018. I think I had about 300 subscribers, and then just something happened and it took off, and I am incredibly grateful for the good fortune and the kind of the bonhomie and companionship and comradeship that I feel with you chaps who, not least of anything else, turn up here every Friday. So, Samantha Fish, yeah, cracking guitar player, isn't she? Well, thank you very much, Craig. Where are we? How come we've never had a flake moment yet? Well, there is a reason for that. I was going to come to that. Let's see if we can get one on the go now. The reason why there's not been a flake moment is because I'm on different beer tonight. There we go. Just I'll hold it back a bit. You can't see it because it's the light's glaring off it. But it's just, there you can see, it's only 3.5% the stuff I'm on tonight. Like many a middle-aged chap, I get called in to see the doctor every now and again, because they want blood tests and they want this and they want that and they want the other. And without going into we're almost getting it. That's almost a flake. There we go. There we go, flake. Yeah. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I need to just dial back on the drink a bit. So it's nothing serious. It's just something that I should do. Because when I first started doing these live streams, if you remember back in the heady days of March 2020, when all the supermarket shelves were empty, although apparently they are now, but not up here. But I just had to buy whatever beer was on the shelf and and make it last. And I went from having a dozen cans over a weekend to having about 30 over a weekend. And then, usually 3 or 4 nights a week, I'd be kind of saying, oh, screw it. And I'll be going to the corner shop and, getting a few bottles there as well. So it did sort of creep up a little bit. And, I've decided to, on doctor's advice, dial it back a little bit. So I'm on the kind of, let's call it the less potent stuff this evening, and for the foreseeable. And I'm ever so happy about it. I had blood tests and the doctor asked if I'm a whiskey drinker, beer only, but it makes you think. My doctor asked me to bring him 2 bottles of whiskey from my trip to Skye. Well, who was it who said, as long as you drink less than your doctor, you're not doing too bad. Winston Churchill had a great quote. He said, I have taken a great deal more from alcohol than alcohol has ever taken from me. Here we go. Here we go. My old mucker Jem Jarvis, he's in Northern Shandy Drink. Yeah, the story there is me and Jem have known each other for many a year, and he's from down south. Although he'll protest that he isn't, and so I always call him a Southern Shandy Drinker. John, have you played it? Let me put you up on screen, mate. John, have you ever played a guitar with only a bridge pickup? I've been getting into the magnetic thing and looking at the Schecter Beretta. So I've only got a bridge pickup and it makes you use the knobs. Yeah, I have. I've never owned a guitar with just a bridge pickup. But if you remember a little while ago, I did the review of that Harley Benton Les Paul Jr. type thing with the single bridge P90. And a guitar like that stands or falls by how useful the volume and tone controls are. You can basically get the same amount of sounds out of it. You just use your tone control as your pickup selector. If you've got a well sorted tone control, excuse me, you can effectively get neck pickup sounds out of it without the magnetic drag that the extra pickup puts on the strings. The one guitar I always thought was really badly designed in that respect, I have to say, was the PRS SE1, I think it was. Single P90, kind of junior style guitar, and it didn't have a tone control, which is kind of missing the point of that style of guitar, I thought. Where are we? Aussie, I needed to spend an extra 40 quid to get free postage from Anderton, so I bought 4 packs of strings only to find out it was 4 for 3 on strings, so I need an extra 99p, so I bought 1 extra strap button. Yeah, we've all done stuff like that, where you just need to get above a certain threshold to get the free postage. Myself, I think you can never have too many plectrums or leads, so I usually make up the difference in those. So where was I? Yes, yeah, the PRS SE1. It was just beautifully put together guitar, but it needed a tone control, and it's like, why did you not think to do that? Oh, let me put you up on screen there, David. I've been on the wagon for most of this year as we've been doing our first round of IVF. Found out this afternoon it's been successful. Falling off the wagon tonight. You do right, mate. Congratulations on your upcoming successful spawning, mate. You are, I think you deserve a drink tonight. You've obviously put in a lot of effort, and we'll leave it at that. Work is the curse of the drinking classes. Yeah, I don't know if you can see on. Let me lean this way. That's that little brown sign in the corner. I've started putting signs up on the wall, as you can see. The brown one just next to the acoustic guitar. It says "No working during drinking hours." So we. I'm keeping it local and about to crack open the Innocent Gun Lager. I actually did stop buying bourbon, though. I was getting through it like it was juice. I can't drink bourbon. I do like a nice whiskey, but there's just something about that. There's an aftertaste that I get from bourbon that I don't find particularly pleasant. Stopped drinking beer 3 weeks ago and I've lost 15 pounds running after beer trucks. I thought you were being serious there, S. Wainscott. Well done, mate. Played live again on Wednesday. Open mics got to be COVID central. Took my own mic though. Well, fair enough, mate. Yeah, well, yeah. That's an interesting thing. You take your own mic to an open mic night. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, the video that I did yesterday, or that went up yesterday, about that Harley Benton single cut. There are still people posting in the comments that, oh yes, but when you order from Toman in the UK, you have to pay all of the import duties and all of the extra taxes and all of this, that, and the other. And I'm just getting a bit fed up with having to reply to these people. No, you don't. That's been sorted. Can we get the word out, please, that when you order stuff from Toman now in the UK, all of that extra hassle, all of those hidden extras, adding the VAT on, working out the VAT, adding it on, import duties, that's all sorted. I have some plectrums I've used for 15 years. Anybody else getting their money's worth? I can't keep a plectrum 15 minutes. Here's the thing. This is a law of physics. I'm sure of it. Whatever colour your plectrum is and whatever colour your carpet or flooring is, the minute you drop the plectrum, it immediately turns the same colour as the carpet. And I've resorted to rifling through the vacuum cleaner to kind of think, oh, so that's where that one went, Open mic night on 22nd in my local. Looking forward to that. I'll also take my own mic. Yeah, I suppose is that becoming a thing now for all you lads who are doing open mic nights? It's you take your own mic, because I would have thought that just taking your own pop shield would have, because it's like the mic's wearing a mask, isn't it? Yeah, I bought a Harley Benton. Let me put you up on screen, Brad. There. I bought a Harley Benton 552 from Toman's, no extra charges. Yeah, that did put me off. I got to tell you, it put me off for a while from ordering anything from Toman, because thinking, well, if you haven't got the the preparations in place for like the a pro-Brexit or a pro-Brexit post-Brexit world, then you haven't done your homework really. But it seems now they've got it sorted anyway. Stop buying chameleon plectrums, John. They're all chameleon plectrums, mate. I bet even Brian May drops a silver sixpence on the carpet and it turns the same colour as the carpet. I have one of those devices to stamp your own plectrums out of old credit cards, etc. Yeah, I tried one of those a while ago. I had one, and just because we all have old credit cards and used library cards and stuff like that knocking around, don't we? But it just never made a particularly good plectrum, I found. If I buy 10 plectrums within a day, I've lost 9. Yeah, this is, going back to Jeff Beck, this is, when I think it was some point in the 80s when he went to just playing with his fingers. He said that was the main reason, because I was always hunting for a pick. True story, this though. There's a guitar player on the circuit up here, a phenomenal guitarist. And maybe I've told this story before, but I don't care. A chap called Graham Russell. What a player he is! He's just phenomenal. Anyway. There's a working men's club in Middlesbrough called Samuelson Working Men's Club, known locally as Sammy's Club. And Graham was playing there one night, and any gig of Graham's, you could guarantee that at least 75% of the audience are going to be guitarists turning up to watch Graham play. And he rocked up outside in an old Mini, one of the old style Minis that were actually like small, with a full PA system, his whole kind of guitar rig and everything, and his everything, because he was playing the backing tracks, and all of this gear kind of crammed into this little TARDIS of a Mini, and gets it all set up, and he's about to kind of do a quick sound check, and he's having to go begging and borrowing around the audience. Has anybody got a pick? The one smallest piece of gear that you need to turn up with. And he's forgot it. He's got the whole PA system in a Mini, along with like a Marshall half stack and God knows what else, and he's come out without a pick. Yeah, I use the Jazz 3 as well, Time Prophet, mate. That's, that's my pick of choice. It's just, I don't know, it's just one that feels comfortable. What's that? Somebody asked me to lend him a plectrum. It was printed in the shape of a skull and he refused to use it. Yeah, well, there are some funny people around, aren't there? How about a video on hybrid picking? I've done a few videos on hybrid picking, but the thing, and this goes as well for and I'll talk about this in a moment, the video on, using a looper. The thing about hybrid picking is, well, what is it? It's using a pick and it's using your fingers, and you use your pick on one string and use your finger on the other string. So you're kind of doing that. There's your video on hybrid picking. How do I make that into a 10 or 12 minute YouTube video that's without kind of some serious extra padding? It's something I'm thinking about, and the same with like a looper pedal. I'm thinking about doing a video on using a looper pedal, a tutorial on it, and I keep coming up against this same thing. It's like, well, the two things you need to know: play it in time and hit the button at the right time. There's your video. It's how do I spin that out? Suggestions on a postcard, please. Oh, welcome to you, Casper from Canada. My wife's native land. She's from she's from a little town outside of Toronto called Oakville, which you may know or you may not, because Canada's a big place. Blew my mind, because when me and the missus first got together, probably one of the biggest shows on TV was the X-Files. And, so you're from Canada, right? Oh, yeah, I'm from Canada. And I said, the only thing I know about Canada is that's where the X-Files are filmed. It's in Vancouver. And it blew my mind to find out that Vancouver was as far from Toronto as Toronto is from here. And I just thought, that's a big cut. That's a massive place. Do you know what I mean? How do you make loops like Pete and Ori? You mean Danish Pete? Thank you, Casper. This is the accent I was born with, mate. Oh, you're in Edmonton, are you? But how do you make loops like Danish Pete? Well, first of all, I think there's a lot in the fingers there. I really rate him as a guitarist. He's, for me, Anderton's videos are worth watching purely for just watching Danish Pete doing his thing, because he makes it look effortless, doesn't he? And clearly it isn't, or it is for him, but he makes it look easy. Nylon picks, John. Well, I think these nylon, these Dunlop Jazz 3s. I don't know. I think there might be. They certainly feel nylonish. The thing I find with I used to use like the kind of, funnily enough for me, tortoiseshell picks. Those Fender ones. I just have a bit of a tortoiseshell fetish. Anybody who doesn't know me, it's any guitar I buy that has a pick guard or a scratch plate, sooner or later it gets a tortoiseshell one. But I just found that I would break them. So just the regular plastic picks, I found that I would crack them. So that's when I went to using metal picks, and they didn't crack, but unfortunately the strings were just kind of disintegrating all over the place. So that's when I discovered these Dunlop Jazz picks, and I must say I've been using these now for years, and providing you don't lose them, they last forever. Let me put you up on screen, David. John Victor from Fret Friend's wife is Canadian. Really nice couple. I did not know that. Lee Anderton's turned into a great guitar player too. Yeah, I've seen a few of his things where he was having like lessons off like Danish Pete, and didn't he have lessons with Justin for a while? And it was interesting to see his development. I like the Dunlop picks too, but I also use some stuff called Picker's Grip. Now, that is something I'm going to have to look into, because I don't have much of a problem with hanging on to a pick, but it's one thing that my students are always kind of talking about, how do you stop from dropping it? Well, you just have to hold it that, tight enough that you don't, but not tight enough so that your hand, kind of tenses up. What's that time, Prophet? My Jazz 3 is red colour. What's the difference? I don't know, mate. Maybe a different gauge or something. But these, when I kind of go on Strings Direct or whatever it is I buy me picks from, and I look for Dunlop Jazz 3s, this is the only ones that I see. So, I always end up licking my fingers to make the plectrum stick. That's a novel idea. Just watch Tash Sultana YouTube videos if you want to see great looping. Katie Tunstall is another looping expert. Yes. What's that song that she did that's like essentially based on, well, a lot of them are, but the one, was it Big Black Dog and the Cherry Tree? Is that what, something like that it's called. And that's, I had a student come to me one time saying, "Why can't I play this on the guitar? Why can't I? It seems impossible to play on a guitar." I said, "Because she's using a looper." Because this chap was having problems, getting all of the notes to come out of the guitar all at once, and it just just sounds like it's all one guitar. Well, it isn't. It's layered. Black Horse and the Cherry Tree. That's it. Big Black Dog and the Cherry Tree, I would call it. Beg your pardon. Blame it on the beer. She's going deaf. Already deaf in one ear. Is that, Jim? Is that Katie Tunstall? That's a shame, I did not know that. I suppose that's why she's, I don't know, not that I pay a lot of attention to, listening to the radio and hearing what's current these days, but, it does sort of filter down who is, kind of making, albums and who's, kind of having, content put out. And I just thought I hadn't heard of anything from Katie Tunstall in a while. Maybe that's why. What a shame. What's that, Deco Dude? I've been thinking about writing a book about my experience in the biz. Okay, well, that would be, yeah, I can go for it, mate. You know, what is your experience in the business, mate? Drop me an email and let me know. Maybe we can have a little bit of a chat on video or something, and you can push the idea of your book. That'll be interesting. Okay, Jem. Yeah, it is Katie Tunstall. What a shame. I saw Katie at a festival I was working at. She was great. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think, like many artists that I discovered her on the Jules Holland. I don't know if it was the New Year show, the Hootenanny, or whether it was just one of his regular shows, kind of mid-year. But it was. I mean, she just owned that particular kind of bill that night. She was a relative unknown at the time, and it was like she was the artist everybody was talking about the next day. Yeah, I read that, Stevie. Let me put you up on screen. Sam Brown lost her singing voice. She now teaches ukulele, and that is absolutely tragic because she had such a gorgeous voice. One of my favourite songs, just talking about Jules Holland there, one of my favourite songs from the first Jules Holland big band album was one where Sam Brown did the vocals. It was called Valentine Moon. If you don't know it, go and check it out. It is an absolutely gorgeous song. Valentine Moon, it's called. And utterly fantastic. And such a shame because I thought I haven't heard from Sam Brown anymore, and I saw she wasn't in Jules's band anymore. So I googled it. I read that she'd lost her singing voice, and I thought, how do you cope with something like that? If that's been your whole, kind of passion and lifetime, singing or making music in whatever way. It's like it would be like me not being able to play the guitar anymore. It's like I can't imagine it. Anyway, let's scroll down and see what we've got. Evelyn Glennie, yes, now there's a name, Nancy. Evelyn Glennie, if you don't know Evelyn Glennie, she is a profoundly deaf percussionist, like orchestral percussionist. I don't mean she just kind of feels the rhythm and kind of hits drums or stuff like that. She plays xylophone, glockenspiel. She plays all of the orchestral percussion instruments, and she is profoundly deaf. And it's just, I've seen her do a couple of talks, with youngsters, kind of motivational kind of things, where she demonstrates what she's, how to overcome something that's as debilitating as being a musician who can't hear. I mean, that is, that's almost like being a photographer who can't see, isn't it? And such an inspirational woman. If you ever get the chance to see any of the stuff that she's done talking on such matters, it is really, really well worth checking out. Anyway, chaps, we've been on an hour or thereabouts, and I'm getting hungry, and there's a curry waiting for me downstairs. Homemade one this week. I've been batch cooking. So I'm going to wish you all a fantastic weekend. Thank you once again for everybody for turning up, and I'm going to go and eat curry and drink some more beer now, albeit 3.5%. So raise your glass and say, time, gentlemen, please. I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.